purely by him not being in combat as much and just therefore being in the right place to. Is that Adam?
Is that your vibrator?
No, it's your mum's milk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast. So today we are doing another event preview episode. It's for the upcoming The Great Battle of Our Time, GBOOT as it's known, event that is happening in London. It's a GBHL 100 event. There's about 60-ish players going, so it's quite a big event. Lots of the top players are going, and it was one of my favourites last year, actually. And we are joined today by Event TO and the most sporting in the person in the GBHL, Mr. Curtis Hodgson himself. So
hello.
Ooh, thank you for joining us. How's things?
No worries. Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Things are starting to come together. I've got a few more parcels to pick up from downstairs. Prizes for GBOOT.
Nice.
Everything's hopefully ready for Friday and Saturday.
Honestly, good. Well, do you want to start by kind of giving the listeners an overview of the event? Kind of there's some preset scenarios and that sort of thing.
Sorry, Elliot. I'd like to start by introducing who's on the pod, because I am an avid listener of the Gollum Gamers podcast. But the one thing that bothers me in that episode number 1 is that you did not mess about. You got straight to it, and I was listening to it in the car, and I didn't have a bloody clue who was there. So I'm going to start it with, "Hi, this is Curtis, and I'm going to be the guest host of the Gollum Gamers podcast. I'm joined by Elliot. Elliot, say hello."
Hello, I am Elliot. I'm the host of the Gollum's Games podcast. I'm Curtis's. Shit.
I'm joined by Sam. Sam, say hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam, probably the controversial one of the podcast. Happy to be here.
I'm joined by James. James, gives a wave.
Hi, I'm James. I'm everyone's favourite.
And last but not least, I'm joined by Adam. Adam, say hello.
Hello, I'm Adam, and I provide the parental consent.
Get your slips. Get your slips.
How was that? I think you guys should. That took like 30 seconds.
I mean, so put it this way: when we started the pod, I wanted us to do that, but I was outvoted. So I'm on your side of the fence, Curtis. I think that was great.
I voted for it.
Considering you all told me you thought introductions were cringe, you were all very adept at it. You all did it very well. So. Well done.
You are making yourself at home already on the pod, and I'm all for it, Curtis. Long may it continue. But did you want to overview the event for us a little bit?
Absolutely. So this is the Great Battle of Our Time, a GBHL 100 in the capital in London. It is the second rendition of the event. We did it first last year. That was my first GBHL 100 hosting. And this year it's very similar. It's we've got capacity for 64 players. It's in Darksphere, which is in Shepherd's Bush, hence the Great Battle of Our Time, because it's right next door to White City. If you're familiar with your Central Line, this year it's 795 points. 795 points. You ask? I was going to go 800. We went 750 last year. There seems to be a real trend in the GBHL this year of just sort of like adding 5, taking away 5. What I was really hoping was to get given a load of lists, and they look like 800-point lists, but like the leader doesn't have their shield, or someone doesn't have something that costs 5 points. No, people would much rather have shields, and they'd rather go 794, or they'd rather go 795 and work out the numbers more differently. Yeah. But yeah, so 795. It is it's a 6-game event, three games on day 1, 3 games on day 2. We've got 4 scenarios that are in the pack that are pre-selected. And then 2 scenarios. So game 2 and game 5 will be random, and they'll be randomly selected from pools that we've built from the remaining scenarios. So essentially, there is a chance that you could play any other scenarios except 2. And this year, I think the 2 that you can't play are heirlooms of ages past, because no one fancies that. Last year it was contest, but I threw contest back in. I can't remember. Oh, I binned off Command the Battlefield. I bloody hate Command the Battlefield, and it comes up at every event.
Is that just because you play dwarves?
Yeah, they can't move.
Hate Command the Battlefield more than Storm the Camp.
Oh, I know. So I do look back and Storm the Camp's going to get binned off for 2024. Don't you worry.
Wow.
It might even get re-rolled, but that obviously you didn't hear that.
Unofficially.
Yeah, unofficially.
So just remind us of what the scenarios are that you have pre-selected.
Yep. So I've actually got it here. So I'm not gonna get it wrong.
Now, have you made like a little pack booklet for all your players as Ali did for City of Kings?
No. This is I've got lots of helpers for me on like the TO desk and for people to come to. You might have remembered Rachel Willis from last year.
Yeah.
I've dragged in another person from work. I've got Ozzy Hurst there as well as sort of my co-TO who was dressed as Gandalf last year.
Too many minis. Shout out.
Too many minis. Absolutely big name in the LWG London Lord of the Rings group as well. So yeah, all the familiar faces will be there. So I've just created a little cheat sheet essentially for them because just so if anyone can't find me or anyone's got any questions, they can go to the desk and whoever's there is going to be able to give them an answer. So we start the day with domination.
Yep.
We then go into a random one, and that random one is from a pool that contains Destroy the Supplies, Contest of Champions, Storm the Camp / reroll, Capture and Control, Recon, and Fog of War. And then we end day one on with Hold Ground. Then we've got the evening entertainment, and we've booked a local pub, which is just a short walk away from the venue. It'll be similar to last year. We call it Riddles in the Bar. It's a quiz. We've got a whole room booked out to ourselves the last time. People get drinks, prizes.
Sorry to interrupt, Curtis, but what are you doing?
So I'm trying to pin Gothmog.
It's just so loud.
Mike's rather sensitive when it comes to the glass table you've got there, I think.
Oh my good lord. I
thought you were reshuffling your cutlery.
No, that's Gothmog.
Well, that is what it sounded like. So
yeah.
Just so you're aware. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Talking about the quiz.
Sorry. Yeah, quiz. That's in the evening on Thursday.
Is it the same place as we went last year?
Sadly not. It's literally the pub opposite. The place that we were in last year, they have renovations, so they're closed for the next few months. So sadly we couldn't be in there, but we're in literally the pub opposite, and rather than being in the upstairs, we're in their basement. So
everyone will feel right.
It should. I reckon it's gonna be quite lively as well because QPR, if anyone knows the area, is right around the corner. A lot of their local pubs are in the Shepherd's Bush area, and QPR will be playing at home on that Saturday. So
good fun.
Yeah, but we do have a space booked out to ourselves. But yeah, you might be traipsing through QPR fans trying to get to the bar, but you don't mind that. Sunday, then we've got Seize the Prize. Very controversial having Seize the Prize being something you've got to play to, but it is something that I wanted to be either there and it's there or not at all, because it's one of those where you really a list can be ruined by Seize the Prize. Similarly, you can be ruined by a list that's really good at Seize the Prize. So knowing it's coming up, knowing that you've got to prep for it, that I sort of wanted that there. I also really like it. I really like Ali King's version of it with the 3 prizes.
That's very good.
But I bottled stealing it. But I had a practice game against Vince. Sorry?
You should have stole it. Fuck Ali.
Yeah, I should have. I really should have, because it's a really good version. Game 5, we've got random, and that's random from Law's Battle, Retrieval, Divide and Conquer, Assassination, To the Death, and Clash by Moonlight. And then we end the day on my favourite scenario, Breakthrough.
That is one of my favourites as well. I do like that. So the predetermined ones are Breakthrough, Domination, Seize the Prize, and Hold Ground?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So,
and I imagine you all knew that, you all planned that because you baked that into your lists.
Indeed.
Yeah, lots of convincing nods there.
Yes. Well, yeah. So I guess we may as well have a look at some of those lists. But first of all, we do have our usual sort of stats for the event. So before I share my screen, I'm going to ask something to our fan base, our hardcore, dedicated fan base. Okay, because basically, Curtis, you sent me all the stats. Oh, well, you sent me the numbers, and then basically I make the stats. And I was up till like 2 o'clock in the morning last night doing it because I wasn't going to be able to do it today. So it takes a long time. And basically, I don't know if anyone likes these stats, and it's a lot of work to put them together. So if you like the stats, then let us know in a comment on the video. I'd appreciate it, because if even one person likes them, then I'll keep doing them. But if no one likes them, then
I like the stats.
For fuck's sake. Well, you don't count, James.
I like the stats.
You like the stats, okay.
As long as you read out the stats, I rarely listen to the podcast and watch it at the same time.
Watch it. Yeah, that's why we all have to. That's why we all have to read out our lists as well when we talk about lists, so that audio listeners know. But it's just because when I was doing the stats, like they were exactly the same almost as the 800-point ones that were already on there from the previous event. So I was just doing all the work to come up with the same averages and everything. I was just like, well, is it really any different then? But anyway, I digress. Right, let's kick off with Alliance Breakdown. We have a lot of standard green allies and pure armies. They're tied 34%. So lots of like vanilla kind of lists in the crop, and then some legendary legions and yellow alliances. But any takeaways from that? It's pretty bog standard, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's just me, or is there more yellow alliances than usual?
Sometimes we maybe only see like 3.
I feel like, there's more yellow, and I feel like there's less legions than normal. Don't know if that's just me, but...
Do legions cap out? Is there a points level where you just won't see legions because there's too many points?
Yes, certain legions do, yeah. But then there are others that you'll see at higher points that you don't see at lower points, like Vanquishers, for example, or something. Yeah. So
I wonder how many of those are Emperor out of those legions.
Yeah. There are only 2 Emperor lists going this weekend.
Wow,
there are 2 Emperor legions, and then there's 1 Mordor Easterling list. The yellows, there's some funky yellows. For example, there is an Azog's Legion Moria yellow alliance, which me and Archie, shout out Archie, podiumed our first GBHL event at a double with Azog's Legion and Moria. So I was pretty pumped when I saw that as a yellow alliance. But yeah, there's some funky ones in there that you wouldn't usually see. There's like a Mordor Isengard. Curtis, you might have to remind me. Mordor Isengard, like Serpent Horde.
Yeah, there's 2 that I think have like triple alliance.
I think there's a quad. There's a quad yellow alliance.
There is a quad yellow alliance. Yeah. And it's really interesting to see who's bringing these yellow alliances, because there's 6 there. I don't know if they're evenly distributed amongst sort of, if you were to rank everyone on where they sit currently in the GBHL. Is it more skewed towards the top or more skewed towards the bottom? I've not done the numbers. Elliot's done the numbers. But from memory, there's a few top table players bringing some of those yellows. So
a couple.
I feel like I know one of the yellows, but I'll see if it comes up in there as a list.
Now, what I haven't done when I've put the lists in that we're going to talk about, because some of them are almost the same as ones that we talked about in previous episodes. So I thought there's no point talking about the same list being used by the same player again. So I've left some out that we might have included. But anyway, moving on then from the Alliance Breakdown, we have the Leader Breakdown. And
oh my god, that's a lot of Witch Kings.
There are 12 Witch Kings for
Jesus.
the audio listeners attending. If you can't see the graph, I mean, there's basically a big bar next to the Witch King, and then the next tallest bar is like micro in comparison, which is at 4 appearances. We have Theoden and Azog with 4 appearances, which I found a bit unique.
So actually, as well, I think there's 1 or 2 more Witch Kings, because this is just the Witch Kings who are the leaders. Really? And you'll notice there's a Sauron there, and I'm pretty sure Sauron is backed up by Witch King. And then I think there's 1 other list which has, maybe not, maybe it's just 1 more, but I thought there might be 1 of those where there's another hero of legend in there, and the Witch King is not the leader.
Yeah. And then again, just for the audio listeners, with 3 appearances, we then have the Dragon Emperor, as you mentioned earlier, Galadriel, Glorfindel, and Saruman, and then a number of other leaders after that. So, Witch King best model in the game? Yes.
I mean, the stats tell you that, don't they? And this isn't the first event preview that I've listened to of yours where this
This has
fact
happened.
coming out.
It's a common trend.
There's a lot to be said about how you build the Witch King. Obviously, he can hit every single points level because you can scale him up or you can scale him down.
Yeah.
But there's similar heroes that you can do that to as well, and we don't see them nearly as much. Maybe it's the combination of that and how easy Mordor is to ally with some of the points efficient heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other takeaways from everyone looking at this and this lot of leaders?
It's an unholy amount of Witch Kings. I think that's the most Witch Kings I've ever seen. Normally it's kind of either top or maybe one or two off the top. It's always popular. But this is, you're talking 3 times more than any other leader.
Yeah.
I guess it's because, well, we've discussed the Witch King before, but the crown is undercosted. I don't think the Witch King himself is. I think the crown is. And also, he's the de facto leader of 2 strong factions, as well as you can take him in 2 other lists. So, one being, Dol Guldur without the Necromancer, he can be a leader. And also, of course, in Barad-dûr. So he's a very popular hero in general.
Yeah. It's quite an imposing graph, isn't it, really? I mean, it's a little bit intimidating.
It's like the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, next to the smallest building.
Not a bad comp, to be fair. I've been up the Burj Khalifa, actually.
It looks like global temperatures, and then like 1980, 1990 is just about where the Witch King is.
Yeah.
It's the hockey stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going this weekend, if you're, watching this, wondering if you're going to be playing, a caster, oh shit, I have heroes that I need on their horses, for example, fuck, I really don't want to play Magic. Well, sorry, but there's a high chance you're probably going to play at least one Witch King. So.
I really wish I brought the Felbeast now.
What, just to differentiate yourself, or?
Yeah. No, I played Witch King on Felbeast a fair bit last year, and it's really good into Witch King on horse because you outrange, and a Black Dart can make a big difference in a crucial turn.
Yeah.
Well, there is a Witch King that is on a Felbeast that is going to the event, and we will be looking at that list. So
legend.
Little tease there, but let's move on from the leader breakdown to the faction breakdown. Now, this is the first time I haven't been able to fit the title for the page on the slide because there's that many factions that are going to this event. So that's the first, but there are so many going. So with 10 appearances, leading the charge as usual is Mordor. That is again a common trend we've seen in lots of our preview episodes, but for the audio listeners, 10 Mordors going. The next highest appearance after that is Rivendell with 8 appearances, but this is also for if they're included in like a alliance as well. So like Rivendell and the Fellowship, for example, counts as 1 appearance for Rivendell on the graph. After that, we have Serpent Horde with 7 appearances. With 5, we have Isengard and Moria. 4 appearances, we have the Fellowship. And Survivors of Lake Town. I was actually quite surprised to see that. Sam, you are not the only one taking Survivors for a change.
The thing is with that is I had an eagle eye look earlier or last slide that there's only 2 bards as the leader. So I assume that's either maybe a Gandalf ally. I don't really know.
Why does Gandalf have to be an ally?
I'm not sure.
Well, if you ally Gandalf into another list, he can bring 15
from
cheap.
Survivors.
Yeah, there was a couple of Gandalf leads as well.
Oh, was there? Interesting.
Or you could do what I did last year, where you take Erebor Reclaimed plus like a Lake Town captain to get you March, right?
Yeah. Yeah, potentially.
Interesting.
Intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what are your guys' thoughts on Rivendell? Why is it seen nearly as much as Mordor? Is it good? Or is it popular? Like,
who wants to take that one?
I think it's London, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in London, they really like. I mean, you know this better than anyone, but I think they quite like thematic armies. They like, sort of film-heavy armies. Like Mordor is a very easy army to get into, isn't it? It's very affordable. Rivendell's very affordable. Like it's plastic, beautiful models.
I'm not sure if at many other hundreds you may see as many Rivendell appearances, like you say, as sort of London's quite keen on like the thematic sort of like armies and that sort of thing. That's probably why there's so many appearances.
So it's a hobby choice rather than like a tabletop choice. I'm a bit gutted. I mean, I fall into that London trope you're talking about. I've just got Rivendell army and really enjoying painting it up. And yeah, when I was getting all the lists in, I was like, bloody hell, everyone else is doing Rivendell as well. Right?
And the quality of painting in London is very high. I mean, I think Alec is incredible, one of the best painters I've ever seen. But the general sort of level in London is where the hobby kind of, in my opinion, should be.
Yeah.
I would say maybe from a tabletop perspective that Rivendell is at 800 points is actually, or 795 is quite good for Last Alliance, but then there's only one Numenor, so that is completely out the window.
We are going to be taking a look at a Rivendell list. It's a bit of a different one, but as there were so many appearances, I thought we should maybe take a look at one of them. But Rivendell was my first army when I originally started playing the game when I was a little kid, like when it was the Two Towers and Return of the King kind of books. So I really love Rivendell. I wish it was a bit better competitively. Obviously, I Last Alliance.
That's why Elrond's one of your favorite good heroes.
There we go. That is exactly. I just, I do like Rivendell. I just
make Elrond fight 7.
Please, justice.
Yeah.
But I just like Last Alliance is good at certain points. So it isn't that it's bad. I just wish I've got a lot of it painted. It's probably the army I have the most painted for, and I do rarely use it. So that's a bit of a shame, but it's good to see it well represented this weekend.
Yep.
So any closing thoughts on this before we move on? No? Let's do it. Okay, so moving on, we have we don't maybe have to spend too long on these because they are quite similar to our other previews that we've done at around the same points level. But the model count, average model count 39, the same as it was for the last, I think it was for Worcester that we previewed. Any thoughts on this one? Sort of lots of lists in that average kind of 38-ish range to high 40s.
That was at 750 though. That it was 800.
Leon's was 800.
Oh, same thing then. Yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy. I'm intrigued as to what the 66 model count list is.
There's a Goblin Town going, right?
Oh, is that?
There you are. There's 66.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's
Spider Queen.
But that's low, yeah. So must be a Spider Queen, I assume.
But I only saw one more. Is there only one Spider Queen in the whole event?
Well, 60, 61, you could also start thinking about your lake towns at that level.
Yeah, there was one army of Lake Town, wasn't there? So potentially going that way.
There's an AOL as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard for normal kind of your 800 point-ish events. Between 38 and your 50 models is probably where you're going to see most.
I guess maybe what could be interesting is, because obviously when we look at this in a vacuum, we're like, oh yeah, it looks quite similar. I guess something I could do could be interesting to see from all of our previews how, say, the model count statistics stack up against the ones from other events. So then if there's an outlier, we can actually see, oh, this event is different from all the others, where we don't really know that, just at a glance. So
yeah,
that's even more work for you, mate.
But if it ends up, with a good result, then I'm all for it. I put in the graft for the viewers.
You do put in the graft,
I do.
And it's much appreciated.
Thank you.
So
moving on, we have the might breakdown. So 11 might is the average. So if you're going to the event and you're on the lower end of that, sort of you can be expecting on average to come into roughly 11 might. Most lists in that sort of 8 to 12 range.
I'd say most lists are going to be like 3 to 4 war bands at this level.
Yeah.
So
2 or 3 might.
Sort of times that by 2.5 to get your rough.
Yeah. What's the 24? Is that Riders of Theoden?
I don't think that 24 is going to be there anymore, unfortunately. That was it will be as the ringer. I think that was Fellowship, and then that Fellowship has since dropped actually since I gave you these numbers. But throw me back in as the ringer, and then it's back up there.
Nice. So yeah, pretty standard, I think. Moving on, we have the bow count. So if you don't have any bows and you're playing like to the death, and you're like, shit, am I going to get shot to death? Well, on average, there should be 9 bows on the other side of the board pointing back at you. Fairly standard.
Look, so from the graph, so for audio listeners, I don't think 9 average gives you the full picture, because there's 11 lists here with 0 bows, and then with like less than 5. So we're talking that's just honesty bow numbers. You've got another 5. You've got another 10. So a third of the lists are either like they're honesty bows or nothing at all.
Yeah.
And so really 1 in 3 of your games on average, you're not going to be worrying too much about what's going to be shooting you from the other side of the table.
Yeah.
There are obviously some lists there which obviously creating that average of 9, which might be a bit scarier, particularly if you are one of the 11 with no bows. So someone's gonna have a rough day if those scenarios turn up
in a certain scenario. Yeah, agreed.
So talking about these scenarios, I think a lot of the scenarios don't really favour shooting. So hold ground.
Yeah, not interested, are they?
Not massively. I've lost a game against James Goble, as many people do, where he shot me to shit with Rangers of Mirkwood. I got to the middle. I didn't form the perfect ring. He shoots me, gets me like 1 or 2 off break, and bang, in he goes. Tariel calling the combats through the 1 gap. Very well played.
But James's face throughout all of that was like, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was really good of me.
Standard. Yeah.
James Goble, one of the most underrated gamers out there. Fact.
I loved his early in the season. He played like, was it an all-mounted Gondor with the trebuchet or something?
Yeah, that I fucking lost to in Swindon.
Yeah, and he absolutely wrecked face with it. That is, I love it. If that's anything all-mounted that's not like conventional is really appealing.
James saw, there's the atomic card dice, Curtis.
Yeah.
James must have rolled one of those dice about 50 times during our game, and like 40 times it was just a 6.
You saw the word atomic card in the building itself.
Honestly, you get them in the building, they are outrageous.
They're just
outrageous.
And like he'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna roll another 6, and then we just do it and it's a 6, and then like we'll laugh about it, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, imagine if I did it again, and then just and I'm just like 10 times in a row. It was just ridiculous.
I was still laughing, and Elliot was not.
It was the hottest day as well. It was like, and we were just dying with laughter. It was so bad, but it was quite funny.
If any of you managed to get, if any of you are lucky enough to get hold of a Too Many Minis dice, that's my cooked dice. That's the one I will roll when I need a single 6. Yeah, if it just needs to be a 6, but I don't roll it too much. You don't want to waste them. When you need a 4, don't roll you Too Many Minis dice. Because
to be fair, your dice from the event last year are actually pretty good.
Yeah, we're talking 6s.
Yeah,
1 in 5.
the GBOOT dice are really good.
They are pretty good. Is there more dice this year?
There's more dice, yep. So last year we did blue and whites, and people could choose when they turned up. Obviously, we know that there's going to be a lot of return people, so we've got blue, white, and yellow this year. Three great colours.
I don't own a yellow dice, so the yellow one.
Well, you might be choosing the yellow one. Yeah, the yellow ones might be really popular with. So you can choose from those dice. They're for all attendees, and then we've got some special dice for first, second, third, most sporting, and the winners of the quiz. So lots of dice being thrown.
You get a yellow dice if you win a GBHL 90, for reference.
Don't rub it in.
I don't have one. You know that. You know that, but hopefully this year I will obtain one. Hopefully. Now, Curtis, you feel a little bit sort of like impartial when you give someone else the most sporting award at your event. Does it sort of like, does it just make you feel a little bit odd inside. You know, for you,
The fact that someone's taken it. No, not at all, not at all. It would be very unsporting of me to feel bad in that situation. So no, it's nice to see. Michael Bradford won it. Won most sporting last year. He was an absolute revelation. People loved him. Sadly, he's unable to attend this year. But I wonder who will take the mantle this year.
Yeah, we will see. Not Sam Grattan. We know that already. So.
Definitely not Sam Grattan.
Everyone at the event is one step closer to winning it. But right, moving on, we are going to start looking at the lists. So the first list we are going to be taking a look at for the audio listeners is a very different Mordor list. So, it has the Witch King Fell Beast, which is 314-2, I believe, on the Fell Beast. And then he has 2 Great Beasts and then 2 Mordor Catapults with severed heads. So 5 warbands for a total of 31 models. 20 bows, so that's 9 on top of each Great Beast, plus the 2 catapults. I mean, they're shot in the shooting phase, so 20 bows and 9 might. That's including 1 on each veteran. 2 from each captain on the Great Beast and 3 from the Witch King, of course. So what do we think of this? Quite an interesting, unusual list.
I love it.
This man just messaged me about 5 minutes ago, and
what did he say?
He asked me for a list previously of a previous event, who was my leader, and he asked me about what I was taking to GBOOT, and I told him, and he then said, I'm taking a 31 model list. And then I put a rhino emoji. And so this makes sense. This is
now I also spoke to the man running this list, but we will leave names out, of course, not to expose anyone's list before the event or who's running the list. But he gave me some, not feedback, but like some reasons as to why he's taken the list. So he says that if you want to try and group together for the beasts, the catapults love when you do that.
Yep.
If you want to spread out for the catapults, well, then the beasts love that.
Yeah.
If you charge the beasts, he then obviously does the 7 head shenanigans near that, so that hopefully troops will run away and stuff. Harbinger obviously works very well with all those things. And on a fell beast as well, if Great Beast does get sort of like surrounded and trapped and everything, he can hopefully hurl into that combat to knock everything prone, so the beast survives. And if you leave scatter targets for the catapults, he has 18 bows to shoot them with, so that they're no longer scatter targets, and also a compel for that. And as it's 31 models, he says, I assume that he's right on this, but you have to kill all of one beast and the crew, along with a catapult crew entirely, including the troll and one other thing to break. So you need to kill a beast, and all of the dudes that drop out of it, and catapult crew, which are obviously going to be at the back of the board. So it's pretty hard to break.
The filthiest thing about this list is the 2 catapults with Harbinger coming from the Witch King. That to me is the filthiest thing. It's something that your opponent can do very little about. Also, I don't know what defense the Great Beasts are, but I bet 7. So when say they're in combat with a load of the enemy, and the enemy is having to take courage tests because of the 7 heads, and the Great Beast is only having to take a strength 3 hit from that same shot. So you're winning yourself on 6s. Might not happen, but they're taking courage tests at -1 because of the Witch King. There's another list going which is built similarly, but this is really dialing it up with the 2 catapults. Yeah.
Interesting.
This in Seize the Prize is disgusting.
Yeah, it really is. Because you don't want to pick it up. You don't want to get there first.
No, this is vile.
I played Derry Evans with a list very similar to this. Double Great Beast.
Who is it? Who's taking this list?
At Seize the Prize, it was just so cursed.
Do the commanders on the Great Beast have March?
No, they do not.
Oh, so he doesn't have March. Okay.
No, they don't have any unique heroic actions. So he's only got the uniques from the Witch King. So no March from this.
Yeah. Okay.
You need a thing called heroic strength to beat this list. Because otherwise they're 5 wounds D7s. So you essentially have to kill both. Whether you are an absolute legend and you put enough guys into one of them and combat off it into the other one.
The other one. Yeah, it's possible. Do it in a turn, right?
Yeah, it's doable if you have the right setup and he misses with both his catapults, which could be possible. You never know.
Yeah.
Or 2 heroic strengthening heroes getting up to potentially maybe wounding the beast on 5s is probably your best bet.
Now, the orcs in the top, they do take the hits as they fall out?
Yeah, so the bottom ones take 2 strength 3s, the ones up take 3, and the top dude he takes 4.
And are they any of the attackers, or are they just D4?
Then they're D4.
Yeah, they're just regular orcs.
But
a lot of them do die.
A lot of those
the ones that are 3 strength 3 or above, or the 3 inches. Sorry, they usually all go.
Yeah, so a lot of those can die as soon as you kill the beast. So an interesting list. I wouldn't want to play it.
No, I would want what Sam said. I would want heroic strength, and then I want another hero with the potential like free heroic combat, because I don't want to be using so much might, because I want to sort of use might on moves. But then if you've got a cheeky free heroic combat and then someone else with strength, then yeah, that's how I would want to deal with them.
Yeah,
I don't mind playing against this. I think with the list I'm taking, to be honest.
Well, he said he wanted to specifically play an emperor with this list, and I'm one of the 2 emperors going. So
that could be funny. Yeah, that could be.
I don't want that.
Pretty bad.
Because obviously, the emperor, the only thing that can dismount it is a siege engine, and he has 2 of them. So yeah, I don't want that.
The person who is piloting this though is currently top of the most sporting GBHL. So
he's also the one that does the rankings. So
a little bit sus. But yeah, it's an interesting list, and we'll be interested to see how he does over the weekend. Moving on, we have the Rivendell list that I mentioned earlier. A little bit of a different take on it to what you usually see, especially at 100s, I'd say. So for the audio listeners, it's just pure Rivendell. It's led by Elrond with 6 high warriors with shield, another 6 with bow and spear, and then he has Gil-galad in the second warband with only the horse and not the shield. He's leading 6 high warriors with shield, 1 with banner, spear, and shield, then 2 Kingsguard with spear, shield, and another 3 with bow and spear. And then in the third warband, he has Círdan, a lonely high warrior with shield, and then 2 Riven Knights with shield. So for 30 models on the nose at 800 points. So he's gone all in on the 2 big heroes with the Terror Bubble, essentially, and some Kingsguard.
I mean, it's a fairly kind of standard-ish looking Rivendell list. I mean, I like the 5 Kingsguard because Fight 5 is pretty prevalent now, and those they're going to help out quite a bit. It kind of feels like Curtis said earlier, it feels like an 800-point list that you've removed the 5-point shield off one of the heroes. I don't know why you wouldn't take Gil-galad with a shield. That feels wrong, but I respect the play.
So to me, this looks like games. Do you know those lists that Games Workshop release in their community article? That like, here's the faction, here's all the things it does. Here are some example lists, and it's like a blister pack, a box of something, and then maybe the next list is 200 points more, and it's got another box in, and you're like, that's very clean, and that looks great.
Yeah,
this is that for Rivendell. Obviously, they would never do that for Rivendell because they don't sell very many boxes of it. But this feels like how I think Games Workshop want you playing Rivendell.
Yes,
and I guess that's what I meant when it's not like the standard of what you might see at like GBHL 100. I don't think you usually see this more traditional kind of makeup, just as it's maybe not the best kind of thing in the game at the moment. I think in terms of like your classic Rivendell list, it probably is more like that with the 2 big heroes. But Elrond's my favorite hero, and I do love Gil-galad, so
if you swapped Círdan for Arwen, this is the kind of list I'd like to take.
Interesting.
Just make it a little shitter.
Take away the best elf hero in the faction.
Yeah.
Then I'm down.
Just make it that much worse.
Make it trash. But yes, 30 models, 7 might. I mean, it's the classic Rivendell sort of, it doesn't have a lot of might, but it's got the terror. So, it's pretty standard Rivendell, I'd say. Lots of bows, max bows.
Yeah, I think it'd be great fun to play. People won't be too daunted by the task of playing it. I mean, if the person who's running this list rolls lots of 6s, your opponent is going to be very frustrated for sure. But
yeah, I would like to play against this kind of list.
Yeah, I think you do quite well because you really outnumber it and you match it on fight value. So
I do not match it in some areas with the fight 6.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So this is actually like a fairly decent. I mean, he hasn't got many Kingsguard, but with spending the amount of points he's done on those 2 heroes, like he's obviously had to scrape the barrel in certain areas in order to fit everything in while getting to the 30 models. You're still having some calves, so not too many Kingsguard, but knowing the player who's running this, it should be enough to do what he needs. So
this person could potentially win the event due to them guaranteed rolling the Rivendell dice, which, as we all know, are pretty cracked. So I'm expecting to see this on top tables, if I'm honest with you.
The GBHL going to end up banning the first ever set of dice. I wonder. Those Rivendell dice are otherworldly. I swear.
Yeah, I mean, Sam was begging me the other day to borrow mine. So
yeah, I was.
Was he? For ripping.
I need some, mate. I needed some.
So I genuinely played a guy like a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago, at a tournament, first round, who, after the first round of combat, where he won, he should have won a few more fights for sure, like he was unlucky. He just turns to me and goes, "Do you mind if I just change my dice?" And I was like, "So which ones?" He goes, "Oh, I've got the Rivendell ones in my bag." And he was running Hunter Orcs.
Oh no!
I know who this is.
Oh, no.
It was outstanding. And then the next couple of turns, he broke me the following turn, which was turn 2 of combat.
That is pretty typical.
Which lost him the game. That's not the point.
No, that is not typical behaviour. If you know the Rivendell dice are cracked and then you're losing the game, and then you go, "Do you mind if I just change my dice?" That is the nervous.
Yeah, because it's comical, isn't it? When someone asks to change their when they change their dice, it's just whatever, man, doesn't matter. And then you see what they change them to.
Yeah, he just pulls them out, and you're just like, for fuck's sakes. Oh, good lord. I feel for you. Okay, anyway, moving on. We have the next list, which is a Minas Tirith and Fiefdoms alliance for the audio listeners. So just to run through it, it is led by Imrahil, who is on his horse, of course, with the lance. That rhymed. He is leading 1 knight with horse and lance, and 14 men-at-arms, which are the pikemen. And then from the Minas Tirith part, he has Boromir, of course, with his horse, the banner, and a shield. He's leading 5 Minas Tirith warriors with shield and swap weapon, which I assume is 2 axes. Curtis, do you know that?
It is, yes.
It's 2 axes, yeah. And 6 Fountain Court with shield. And then the second warband is Madril, who's leading 1 knight with shield, 8 rangers with spear, and another 2 Fountain Court with shield for 40 models, 9 bows. I know usually, I think this particular player runs more rangers, but as he's taken the fiefdoms part, he can only have so many rangers really. So 9 bows, including Madril, and 12 might to chuck around into combats with Boromir and Imrahil and all sorts of stuff. Any thoughts?
What's the thinking behind this?
Fight 6.
Fight 6.
Right.
Fight 6 with axes you can pierce to strength 4.
And a ton of might to try and manipulate some of the scenarios that are that we know are going to turn up. Things like Maelstrom on hold ground and seize the prize.
So Madril's your hold ground guy, with the +1/-1, and then it's if you play So domination, you just deploy 24 line and you outgrind them with fight 6 is, I imagine, going to be the thing. And then Boromir, Imrahil just combating along with that. If it's the person I think this is taking, they've wanted to run it for a little bit. And I imagine he'll do above average pretty well, very well indeed.
I hear
above average. Yeah,
I hear he really needs to do well at this one.
Yeah, potentially.
Oh,
So yeah, I like the swap weapon as well, just because it's the strength 3 is the problem with this list usually. So even if it's 5 guys with that can go to strength 4, if you need to kill a hero, you can pierce, and you then potentially need 5s or 6s instead.
I think it's also as well like how many times do you like triangle trap like one warrior with 3 dudes who are strength 3 and you need 6s to wound, and on the 6 dice you just don't get it.
Yeah,
you've got 2 of those dice needing 5s, like it is a lot more likely to kill. And you know, even though it's only on 5 guys, like that can make a really big difference. Personally, I'm not that big a fan of the whole Imrahil with Minas Tirith because the banner doesn't affect them.
But that's irrelevant, really, isn't it? Because
doesn't matter.
Boromir's banner affects
Yeah,
everyone.
but I think Boromir having it, because he's not the leader, he's obviously got Boromir not being the leader on purpose because he maybe wants to be a bit more fluid with where he moves him to. And it's why, for example, the Emperor, the fact that his banner affects everyone, it annoys me that there aren't any alliances that are actually that good with the Emperor, because he has a banner that affects anyone, you know, in the Force that's in range, where Imrahil's is fixed only to the fiefdoms model. So it's just I foresee potentially certain instances where he won't have the banner in certain fights if Boromir's doing certain stuff, and he needs the banner and he won't have it, and that kind of thing keeps me up at night.
surely you just ban the men at arms.
Yeah,
I think if you have 14 pikemen, you're going to have someone in the combat who can use Imrahil's banner, or at least use Boromir's banner from the front of the fight.
I'm just saying towards like the end of the game when like maybe those have started to die. I bet over the weekend he's going to have some situations where he needs a banner and he won't have one. And if it was saved, I think he will.
I don't think Imrahil's going to be doing much fighting until the late game. Personally,
he won't. No.
I think then you'll maximize how much banner impact he has purely by him not being in combat as much, and just therefore being in the right place to.
Adam, what is?
Is that Adam?
Is that your vibrator?
No, it's your mum's bit. This is a moped going down the street.
Has that moped been doing laps or something?
Adam, is that your vibrator?
He's got it on full blast right now.
I'll just put the microphone by the window. No, I am actually sweating my tits off here because I really want to open the windows, but I can't because of the noise.
I have a fan on. I have a fan on, and you guys can't hear it. It's fucking great.
Same.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh dear.
Oh, what are you and Gothmog getting up to in there?
Yeah.
All sorts, mate.
Right.
Got pretty dirty. My hands are all,
We're sticky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a bit of glue on them actually. Just doing the base.
Put them together and then slowly move them apart. Oh dear.
Might be glue, might be Gothmog's juice. Who knows?
Gothmog's juice.
What's happened here then? What's happened here?
Right. Anyway, back on track. Yeah. So I don't know. I get yes, this particular player knows what they're doing, and it is most likely that for the vast majority of all his games, he will have a men-at-arms in those fights. I just think
there is gameplay of this list on a certain recent featured channel. So
there is.
I'll be intrigued to see, with the amount of Witch Kings, and obviously a Witch King loves a black dart on a horse. How does this list work, or how does it run without your horses for those 2 heroes?
It's a shame Ash isn't going.
Well, they're buff heroes, aren't they? So if you're without your horse, you're still fine. And it's not like you're taking Azog, right? Where if Azog is transfixed all game, then it matters.
I
You
think
do need them to be killing in this list.
Yeah, you definitely do.
And I mean,
that's what their might is for.
On foot, like, I guess they can still sort of kill stuff, like, you know, Boromir heroic combating and spending might on foot to secure kills. But then when he goes into the next 2, he's only got 3 attacks to kill, and say he needs 5s, like it's not that high a chance. So yeah, he does need them to be killing, especially Imrahil with the lance. Like, that's a big sort of bonus that he has.
I agree.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with this kind of list. So moving on, we have oh, okay, we're going into our list. I thought we maybe had one more, but apparently not. Okay.
So well prepared.
So Sam, do you want to take us through your list you're taking this weekend?
Yes, so I'm taking classic me, taking a Survivors of Lake Town and an Erebor Acclaimed alliance. So Bard is my leader. He's got horse and armor. Sigrid and Tilda with him and Alfred. So I've got 4 Lake Town with shield, 6 Lake Town with shield spear, and then 5 Lake Town with bow spear. I've got a captain, no shield, just bog standard. 5 Lake Town with shield, 2 Lake Town with shield spear, and then 4 Lake Town with bow spear. And then from the Erebor Acclaim side, I have 3 heroes, those being Gloin with 4 Iron Hills with shield spear, Nori with 4 Iron Hills, shield spear, and also Dory with 3 Iron Hills, shield spear. 45 models in total. The 9 warrior bows plus bards, Gatling gun, and 12 might, but 15 technically with Alfred's will points. So on the higher end for might count. Essentially, this is, as due to the amount of Witch Kings, as we've seen, how many of these heroes can you stop? Try your best. If you can stop Gloin, I've got Nori and Dory and Bard there. If you stop Bard, I've got the 3 dwarfs. Can you stop all of them? Good luck. If you can, you might have triple caster or something.
Time goes. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck stopping all of them.
How good are Nori and Dory at fighting? I know Gloin. He's
just whipped out the Bible.
So Dory.
Got Nori and Dory there because I was thinking about Nori the other day. He's pretty cheeky. He's like, neither of them are as good as Gloin, right? But
no.
Were you thinking about?
Just thinking about Nori the other day when I was playing with Gothmog.
Oh, sus.
They're good heroes. I mean,
they're right.
Dory is so Gloin is obviously fight 6, strength 4 with his master forged weapon. So he is +1 to wound. He's D8, 3 attacks. 3 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Dory is essentially the same, however a little bit worse. I.e., he's only fight 5 instead of fight 6. He is also strength 4 with +1 to wound, D8. And he's courage 5 instead of courage 6 like Gloin, but he has 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Dory has defense and I think potentially strength. Yeah, and then Nori is fight 5, strength 4, D8. He's not 2-handed. He doesn't have a 2-handed mace, even though he has the weapon master rule, which is a bit odd / unfortunate. So he can't actually 2-hand. But he does have 3 attacks, and he's got kind of a Lord of the West for himself. So rerolls a dice in the duel and to wound. Yeah. 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate again. So both of those fight 5, Gloin fight 6. I think Nori has strike and strength. So I think all 3 of those have strength, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, this is why I said I'm not too scared of the Great Beast list.
No, yeah, this is really good counter.
So yeah, it's, can you stop the heroes? If not, do they just absolutely mince a line too quick that it's hard to recover from it, essentially? But I have, from previous experience, it's not perfect. The dwarfs can totally die if you just get sixth. People roll sixes against you when they win fights. And apart from Nori, you can't actually banner Gloin or Dory. You can only banner their spear sports, which it still is a banner. However, if you do whiff with those two, you roll a 4 high, for example, that is just it. If you don't banner into a 6, you do lose, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And it sometimes feels bad spending 2 might when you don't really want to, but 15 might, it may allow me to here and there, depending on the matchup.
I remember when we were initially kind of talking about you running these 3 kind of smaller heroes, all of them, and it really, like, with how good Magic is at the moment and how much of it is around, it's just a really good way to sort of mitigate, like, when you run up against it, you're just not immediately shitting yourself if, say, you've put all your eggs in the basket of, say, Azog needing to kill everything. You're now not that worried because you've got threats in so many different areas. I think it's a really good way to run it.
I really like it. I think with the March, those dwarf heroes, those 3-foot dwarf heroes, no longer have their biggest weakness.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5, technically 5 points of March, not really.
5 points of March, yeah, but, pretty good.
It's no Cav, which is, apart from Bard, it's no Cav, which is one of the issues. But when you have March and Dwarfs, if you're marching with them, it's not too big of a problem. The thing I lose from this list compared to the list I've taken previously is the Fearless from, say, a Dane, which can make it quite a big difference if your courage tests are that awful. Courage 4 down to 3 if you're within a Harbinger.
That was quite a big thing that you liked about initially the Iron Hills pairing. So, So
you kind of you lose the trade-off for that, and instead of having your Iron Hills kill your Black Numenorians, you essentially go for Gloin Nori Dory charging in, them killing the Black Numenorians instead.
And it's like, so let's say you play Witch King Sully with when you had Dane, and you get the Fearless. Well, now you get the Fearless for the troops, but now you've got a big juicy target for the magic to shut down. But now you take that away, so their magic is maybe less effective because it can't shut down Dane, but now the troops are less likely to charge. So it's kind of a give and take there.
Yeah, there's definitely weaknesses about it, but I've tried to. I guess it's what people are taking currently. I think into Emperor, it's okay with Gloin and Bard. Nori can strike against 2 if he wants to. And against Witch King Saladin, it's also a fairly okay matchup. It's not the worst thing in the world. So, and for the set scenarios, apart from Seize the prize, which is always a bit of a toss-up when it comes to a second turn move off, I think it's fairly strong with the other ones. So,
it's your first time running all 3, isn't it, at an event? So I'll be interested to see how you get on at the end of the weekend. So moving on, we have Vince's list, who is not here with us tonight, but I'm sure he'll be keen to hear our thoughts on his Isengard list. So for the audio listeners, he's running a pure Isengard force, led by Saruman, of course, on his horse. And in that warband, he has Grima, obviously, an Uruk-hai scout with bow, 5 Urks with shield, 5 orcs with spear shield, 1 orc just with the shield, and 1 orc with banner and shield. The second warband's led by Lurtz with another Uruk-hai scout with bow, 6 Urks with shield, another 5 with pike, a warg rider without shield or throwing spear, so just a naked warg rider, and 2 Crebain. And then the third warband is led by Gorolf with another Uruk-hai scout with bow, 6 Urks with shield, and 5 with pike for 44 models. Only 4 bows, including Lurtz, and 9 might across the 3 heroes. I'd say this is probably one of the most competitive Isengard lists I think Vince has probably ran.
I agree. I'd say this is the best one I've seen so far.
It's the best one. Like this is the most bog standard. Like if you're trying to run Isengard to its fullest potential, this is probably what you take. Or
yeah, Isengard outside of Legion or Isengard with Saruman. This is probably as good as it gets.
Yeah,
I think it looks really fun. Like this is again, it's my kind of list. It's got a bit of everything in there. A good player's going to take this 3-3, maybe 4-2. It's really strong. But I think there's certain things that you've invested in that the other lists can counter quite easily and perhaps have a little bit more points efficiency there. Saruman is an expensive tool. Grima, while powerful, can be shut down, by a skillful player quite quickly. Lurtz can sometimes, it's very good, but it can sometimes be a bit lackluster in combat. You expect to be so killy at 5/5, that can really struggle against, certainly if there's going to be lots of 5/5 front lines running around.
Yeah.
Gorolf, though, he's the boy. Just, bang him into a hero that costs twice as much and defense all day. Like,
Vince does love Gorolf.
He does love Gorolf.
Yeah, Gorolf
with the 13 Witch Kings, I think Grima might have a bit of a miss this event. But
Vince could totally just play a Witch King in all 6 games and try.
So we played this the other day. So I went up to Norwich and we played 3 games. I took an Erebor Reclaim list, my list that you'll see shortly, which is the classic Witch King Suladan, but I love a bit of Shagrat, our Lord and Saviour, Lord Shag. And I'm not going to lie, this list struggles into Black Numenorians because your Uruks are down to Courage 2. However, Saruman is very, very good at dealing with Suladan, who I killed within 3 turns with Sorcerer's Blasts, or dealing with the Witch King. We talked about it after the game, and actually I was just so hell-bent on just trying to kill Suladan because I thought that would be funny. Off strength 5, then strength 3, right? And if you blasted...
you played with Vince's list against your list. You swapped.
We swapped.
Nice.
Yeah, and Saruman was amazing, but Lurtz and Gorolf having 1 will each is just...
It's not the one.
We were so convinced, Vince and I, like we played for years with Lurtz having 3 will because we just assumed he had 3 will.
I thought it was a 3-3-1 until recently.
He's got 1 will. He grew up, literally his 8 days of life, most of it was with Saruman.
8 days.
Did he not learn anything?
He has been
Nothing.
buffed, though. He has been buffed since the edition that got me, like, I got into the game.
Days of life.
He got buffed.
But yeah, back in the day, Lurtz was just a captain. He was just a captain with an extra point of might. And actually, he was worse than a captain.
As he should be.
Couldn't get defense 7.
As he should be. He is not a character from the books, and Lurtz should be shit.
Hey,
for that reason.
You take Rutabi.
Oh.
Well, Rutabi is one of the few female warriors.
Oh, goodness gracious me, lad.
Unless you're trying to be, a misogynist, Adam.
You have not pulled this card out, Elliot.
I advise you rescind that comment immediately.
That is poor sportsman from Elliot Shillinglaw.
Elliot, we were just talking about sort of made up characters and whatnot, but sure, no, it's she does a lot for the game.
That's very good at Adam.
It's a lot for the
game. Anyway, Lurtz. So I played into my own list, and I've got to say, when you play against your own list with someone else's list, that's when you start to really see what the challenges are facing the opponent, and that was a great experience. And it was the Terror front line with the Harbinger that really did it. But yeah, Saruman deals with Witch King. 100%. You outrange him, you outwill him.
At Wolf's Lair, my Witch King got slapped about by Saruman in my final game against Scott Haslam. The Witch King he was off his horse straight away, and then he really lacked range, and then he was sort of if there wasn't another spell for him to do, he would just throw a re-rollable dice transfix into the Witch King and be like, well, either your Witch King doesn't get a spell this turn, or you're spapping will just to get a spell off, which will cost you even more will. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just the extra range, and it's every Witch King spell one better, essentially. Obviously, he doesn't get Black Dart, which Black Dart can be very useful. But I think Sorcerer's Blast, if played well, is probably one of the best spells in the game.
It's more reliable about taking horses out for sure, because if they position badly, it's automatic. You don't need to roll to wound that horse. Also, Flame Burst can take a horse out pretty well because it's hitting both the rider and the mount, and usually on the mount it's needing 3s, so that's just about the same as Black Dart.
Yep. There's a real argument for a channel Flame Burst as well.
Oh, what? To set ablaze the hero? So he either has to roll around to stop it or takes the wound. Either he's out for a turn or 2, or he potentially kills himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, great shout. I love Saruman. If I ever play Isengards, it would be all built around Saruman. I think he's such a fun tool. It is a shame that there is such a cost that goes with him. And one thing I've found, so my friend who I recently got into the game, he started with Isengard, and he really, he saw me playing the Witch King. He really wanted his own spellcaster, and where he struggled was, whereas at like 800 points, I might take the Witch King and a second spellcaster, whether it's a budget ring wraith or someone else. Saruman is on his own, and if he doesn't have the priority, or he just doesn't have he can't do as many things as, for the same points, you could get 2 ring wraiths, who are just far more effective.
Yeah, it completely comes down to how you're using that Sorcerer's Blast, because if you use it effectively, you can neuter 2 heroes.
Really? How?
Okay, so let's assume if your heroes are close together and one of your heroes is out of might, you could just Sorcerer's Blast one into the other. That knocks them both out of combat, renders them both useless.
That's a lot of got to go your way for that to come off.
Sounds like some fortuitous blasting.
Not really. No, Saruman has a horse.
Whoever places 2 heroes that that you want up prone next to each other.
Yeah, so this happens to me.
Like, there's no way of putting 2 heroes you want in combat.
So I had Dane and Thorin about 5 inches apart, defending, and there was this like tiny bit of like river between them. So there were no troops there because they would be moving like 2.5 inches. So they were there, and Sorcerer's Blast, like, he won priority and just, I didn't call a move. He just moved there. It was already in combat as well. Just blast the one who was out of out of will. Can't remember which one. I think it was Dane, actually. Just blasted Dane into Thorin, both dismounted. Because the thing is, Saruman can start. What Saruman loves to do is actually start at the back of the board. And even though this army only has 3 bows, if you start it really far back, it buys you time.
Yeah, you can throw your free will.
And if you could just keep compelling heroes back or immobilizing them, that sometimes opponents don't know whether to send forth the army if you don't have the linchpin. So if Thorin is getting immobilized every turn, are you moving forward with your dwarves? Depends on the scenario. There are situations where you're not. And if you are, great, Thorin's out of the game, or he's spending his will in the non-combat turns. So, yeah, like I said, if Saruman is played well and timing is well thought through, he is a beast. But he needs lots of turns to make him effective.
You heard it here first.
I think the scenarios is actually good. I mean, Seize the Prize, Saruman's great.
Yeah.
Maelstrom Lurch comes on wherever he likes, which is great. Domination, this army is fairly good in combat. Well, I mean, very good in combat, in fact. So
good model count as well.
Yeah.
Saruman compelling models off late game.
Yeah. And so your breakthroughs and your doms, they're also fairly good scenarios. So the chosen ones actually good for. And if you play an assassination or something, Saruman is quite good at putting wounds on people for free. Grima is a bit of a oof. However, I guess you put him in your warband, you leave him in the back of the board, and that's you have to do that. Just say you have no Grima. But I like it. I think it's. I usually slate Vince's lists a fair bit because sometimes he puts lists in the chat and I think, what the hell is that you've just presented me? However, I like this. So I hope Vince appreciates my
Yes, your seal of approval on this occasion.
This really feels like an upgraded version from Ali's event, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels like this is a new Vince. Vince is returning with full...
Because it's getting towards the end of the year and, you know, the team scores are getting tight and he's like, well,
I've got to do it. I've got to pull out for the
win
boys.
100. So let's take the best list I can. So
yeah,
pretty typical from Vince, to be fair. So
what was that, Adam?
We're sending on the cavalry in the last quarter of the game.
Yeah. Love to see it. Love to see it. So that's going to do it for Vince's Isengard list. Moving on, we have Jay's Rivendell Army of Laketown Alliance. So for the listeners, it is led after the FAQ by Bard the Bowman, of course. Oh no, sorry, is that? I'm not sure if that is correct for this list. He doesn't have.
Wait, this list is not. This list is illegal, no?
No, because he's taken Bard. But I can't. Curtis, do you remember if Bard is the leader in this one?
I Sam's face.
Why is Sam so baffled?
I'm thinking, where's the master? He's got no banner.
I think Glorfindel's the leader. No, Bard.
No, Glorf is the leader. I have it in front of me. Yeah, sorry. So for the audio listeners, I'll just read out the list. So it's led by Glorfindel with 2 River Knights with shield. Then also from Rivendell, he has Círdan with 3 High Elf Warriors with spear. And then he has the Army of Laketown contingent led by Bard with horse and armor. Then he's got the 2 kids as well, Sigrid and Tilda. And then he has 4 Laketown with bow, 2 regular Laketown, then 7 Laketown with spear. And then he has 2 identical war bands led by Alfred and Braga, which are made up of 4 Laketown with bow, 2 normal Laketown Guard, and another 6 with spear for 49 models, 15 bows, and 10 might. But then you've also got lots of potential free might. So you've got the will points from Alfred, and then also Braga's free heroics as well. So what do we think? Sam, you were a bit baffled. Why?
I'm just going to check something because I assume Jay's already checked this. But if I think of what I'm thinking, I don't know why he's done this.
It was after the FAQ. You have to take, if you're allying Army of Laketown, you have to have Bard there, which he's done.
Yeah. Like Sam's botting out right now.
So Sam's botting. Anyway, any thoughts you want about this list?
No. Okay, I'm not botting out. So
no thoughts. Let's move on.
So why? So this list, okay. There's no banner, right?
No.
You have no banner. You are also not fight 4 because you don't have the master.
Yeah.
Why would you not just take survivors? Survivors are also
OP.
Survivors are also yellow. You get Bard, who then becomes a 6-inch banner for your line. You still get Círdan with Order Dismay or of Command. You still get Alfred. You probably get the same. You get the same model count, maybe a few less.
Does Bard have to be the leader though? Because he's Hero of Legend, is he? Or is he?
Yeah, he would. But that's not a bad thing.
Well, maybe he likes the security of having Glorfindel as the leader.
I like Bard as a leader. Actually, I would err on and agree with Sam here.
I don't see why this army. Why Army of Laketown? Why not survivors?
Maybe Jay doesn't have shields for his models.
Maybe Jay just doesn't own survivors.
No, but it specifically says in the rule book it's either Army of Laketown or survivors. It says how you could use your Laketown militia as Laketown Guard and vice versa. So
but like survivors can have shields, can't they? Maybe he just doesn't have shields, so he's like.
I doubt that would be a barrier that would.
Yeah, I think Jay
does sound like the kind of barrier that stops lots of people, but not Gollum's gamers.
Jay would have a workaround for that.
Never.
I just don't see. They are yellow. I've checked. They're yellow. So you have the exact same list, but Bard becomes a banner, and you still fight 3, and your
Maybe
D5.
really wanted Braga.
Yeah.
Braga's pretty good.
But
I mean,
Braga only gets the benefit when he's in within 6 inches of the master, right?
Oh, so he doesn't get his
So what's the point?
free might without the
You literally take a Lake Town captain for cheaper than Braga.
I think Jay's booped.
You know what?
Jay's been on holiday too much. He is.
It might
I don't know
be.
if I'm missing something.
He found this list at the bottom of the sea, and he's gone. You know
When
what?
he was swimming, scuba diving with the turtles, this is what he's found.
Oh, I'll use this. I think it's just because he's been a bit unsure on what he's gonna use a little bit following Assault being nerfed, and I think he's just gone. Oh yeah, because I think he's used this before.
So he's had a stroke, and he's on this instead.
Yeah, he's just turned his brain off. I'm so confused.
He's a smart man. He must have reasoning.
He's a good enough
smart
player. I think he'll not embarrass himself for this list.
I need to ask him why not survivors? You've just hindered yourself.
We will be having Jay on the podcast at some point. He will be making his first appearance, so you two can hash it out.
No, I'll ask him this at the event, mate. Don't you worry. Why have you not got survivors, my man? Because
what are you doing?
Oh my god, you would have had such a better list.
Can we get a YouTube short of this?
It's like our emergency podcast thing. We do emergency podcast. Sam versus Jay.
I'm not missing anything. Do you guys?
No, I'm on your side. Yeah.
I didn't go away to Holland,
it does feel disgusting to agree with you, but yeah.
There's no banner. He could have had a 6-inch banner. He could have had D5 instead of D4, and he could have had Bard as leader, which I think is better than Glorfindel.
Yeah.
Where did Jay go on holiday?
Cyprus.
So not
Smoking
Holland.
Good over there in Cyprus, eh?
Cypriot meta, you see, it's
Cypriot meta.
I'm gonna have to ask Jay probably more.
Don't see any halloumi.
I'm gonna have to ask Jay very, very soon, not probably before Curtis's event, because I need answers fast.
When you sign in on Saturday, I'd like to hear those answers, please.
Yeah, I'll be there with the answers. Don't you worry, mate, because he might have just gone, I don't have the models, which doesn't seem very Jay to me. I would expect him to find a
He's
way.
a busy man.
I reckon if he says that, that's a cop out. And with his busy man, he didn't have time, and he just made a mistake.
Assault on Helm's Deep is also very good still.
If he didn't have the models, he just wouldn't take this, right? You'd take something he does have the models for.
I am a bit surprised that he hasn't ran Assault yet since the nerf.
I agree.
Obviously, as he's done so well with it, why not just use it?
I think he took it to Ardacon.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he found that it wasn't
weaker. What, in the Masters?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
He got really unlucky.
Yeah, he had really bad luck, so I don't think that's...
I can't remember what happened, but we did see it.
No, yeah, I remember him saying he had really bad luck that weekend, so that's maybe not a fair shot for it. I don't know. But Sam, okay, you seem a little bit...
I'm just... I don't know what to say, to be honest. I think I'm so fixated on it. It could have been so much better that I can't tell you what's good.
Maybe there's something that we're just missing, and Jay knows, and he's going to win it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because Sam would have seen that.
Yeah. I fight 3 D4, no banner. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
What's the next list?
Let's move on to the next.
Jay's just enjoying life.
It's my list. I'm just writing something down. It's my list. It is my Emperor list. We don't spend too long on this. I have made a couple changes though. But
yeah.
So it's
my solo drop.
It's my Emperor Legion list, which is led by the Emperor, of course, with 15 Black Dragons with Pike Shield, 3 Black Dragon Cataphracts. One of those has a drum. No axes on those this time. I had to scrape on points somewhere. The second warband is led by Ratabi and 7 Eastling Warriors with shield and axes. 2 with bow and 1 with pike and shield. Then we have Brawgear, solo drop Brawgear, warband 3 on his lonesome. And then we have the 4th warband, which is a captain with a shield. He's leading 2 warriors with bow, 4 warriors with pike and shield, and then 4 acolytes with axes. So I guess the first change is really that I've taken some acolytes. I used to run like 9 acolytes in a list in like a Mordor Easterling alliance, but then I kind of stopped running them because I wanted to kind of max out on models and axes and all that kind of kit. But I have been pushed into starting to run some acolytes in my regular Legion list, as other people have noticed that lots of Emperor lists are running at least some with axes and they fill a role, and I think I agree. So I've chucked some in there. I've had to lower my model count by taking the captain and those acolytes, so I've hit on 42, but I've managed to fit in 4 acolytes. Raw gear is the solo drop, essentially. So you have to take, obviously, the Emperor's Warband as a full warband because you get the free Black Dragon upgrades. And then left after that, I had 20 warriors. So I either put, 7 in 2 warbands and 6 in another with Brawl gear. But then all of the warbands are fairly small. So I felt it was better to kind of at least have 2 normal sized warbands. And then, say in whole ground, for example, if Brawl gear doesn't come on the board, it might not be the biggest issue where, if there's like 6 or 7 dudes that don't come on, it's like I have to spend my everywhere to come on, where just with Brawl gear, it might not be that big an issue as he's on his own. So that was the thinking behind it. I think I've seen some other people do that before. So, but everyone seemed quite shocked at that. What do you think? There's no other changes really to the list other than those things.
Good.
Maybe too many axes.
Too many axes.
I don't think there's enough axes.
So I usually have more standard Easterling warriors with shield. I usually have like 9 or 10, but I've got the acolytes. So
I think there's a perfect amount of axes. I'm gonna go in between.
Well, James, explain yourself, sir.
You got 11. That's mental.
I've said you should take acolytes, and that you like the high model count because obviously model count is important in the game. But acolytes do so much for this list. They do so much for it.
I mean, if I'm honest, I have thought about it a lot because now I've submitted this. I'm not sure how much. It'll be interesting after the weekend to see, but I'm not sure how much they're going to do for me. But we'll see, because I've already got the strength 4 in the line. So I guess it's in situations where like I'm trapping a model and I need it dead, and I've got the acolyte with 2 attacks, so 4 dice at strength 4. Like those kind of situations are where you really kill stuff, but like I don't think it adds much to the line.
2 attacks is just so good, and a throw weapon that you can just throw 2 throwing weapons into a combat
Throwing weapons are
horse and jump over a hill or like a little hedge to then charge on model on objective, throw and dagger it, and it's dead, and then you gain the objective. Or there's just, I think there's very niche. It's not even niche because the +2 to jump can actually be useful fairly often. They're just great for what you pay, and then being fight 5 as well is just so good.
Yeah. No, it's much lower model count than I usually do. I mean, it's my second event running the captain. I ran it at Worcester the other week because of the preset scenarios that were there. And it's a similar reason as to why I've taken it this time. I thought with Seize the Prize, again, the captain worked really well in Worcester for that, obviously. And then whole ground as well. If I can basically get my whole army on the center, I'd probably win. So I think the captain's really good for that. I'm not sure how much it offers in domination and breakthrough. I might prefer the higher model count in those, but I thought something like Seize the Prize that's very swingy, for example, like I want to give myself the best chance to, get there and win that, essentially. So I think the captain fits the scenarios pretty well.
I think it's a really good list. It's just really solid. The problem I have with it is I'm now looking at Sam's list and just thinking, Sam's list just eats this.
How?
Because Sam's got 3 dwarfy heroes who just aren't going to die to these guys because they're all defense at 8.
But if those dwarfy heroes aren't killing, then the Easterlings will just
Sam will have them killing.
On
Sam will have them killing. He'll be so Gloin will
kill,
and then he'll be
the amount of times I've seen Gimli with.
But Gloin's wounding these guys on 4s, rerolling 1s.
He'll be striking with whichever other dwarf hero has strike.
One's got strike, one's got defense.
Yeah, so he'll be trying to kill 2.
On top of that, you've got Bard who can just go in and just do what he wants.
But like Blade Wrathing Ratabi could maybe deal with some of the dwarves pretty quick as well.
But Ratabi's winning dwarves on 6s. Like, she's not. She's going to get targeted.
Blade Wrath Ratabi, sorry.
Okay.
Still 5s, but yeah. If she's killing 2 dwarves a turn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't have any other use for Borgir's will really in that matchup. But yeah, it's one matchup. But
yeah, this is just a really solid list. Like, I still think Emperor Legion's probably. I used to think it was the top arm in the game. I now think it might be joint top in the game. It's it's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's fairly standard. Any final thoughts before we move on to our final list? No? Okay, we have Adam's Mordor Serpent Horde list. Adam, would you like to take us through your list for the audio listeners?
Do you want it as fractions?
Please, not this time. Not again. Not again.
Okay, fine. Just because Elliot's asked for it. So it's all sorts. Fractions are pretty hard on this one because I just thought, okay, we're playing whole ground, breakthrough, domination, and seas. Seas is quite hard to plan for unless you have something like pits, which I was considering. Pits is really good at Sea Surprise because you can auto take that second turn. But there's not many armies in game which have such control as just taking a marcher and some sort of magic. So yeah, that was my thinking for the list. I've got Witch King, 3/14/3, Crown of Morgul Horse, Shagrat, our Lord and Saviour, Lord Shag, Mouth and Saviour, Armoured Horse, and Sutherland with 2 friends at 5/4. Yeah, pretty standard. 13 black nums, 8 trackers, and a load of orcs.
Has Ashley approved this?
Well, I sent it to Ash, and he just replied back with his winning list, and we worked out the difference was he took an extra Serpent Rider and had a few less models.
We have had your lists side by side many a time on this podcast, so yeah.
I've finally taken one that Ash thinks is good, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a really fun list. Plenty of toys. I love Shagrat. Often you see people take Gorbag or the Shadow Lord maybe instead of all that, but I think Shagrat, I know he's expensive compared to Gorbag, but he's still such value and I think your rounds are 2 hours 15, are they not, Curtis?
They are.
Which is very long, which is great for Shagrat because he can just keep running around.
Yeah.
Murdering.
It's so rare to get a evil hero with 3 fates and the fact that he's defense 7 as well. That's great.
Yeah, so I think lots and lots of turns are not good for the Witch King, but they're very good for Shagrat. So yeah, I think Shagrat is a good counter to long games for evil.
Yeah, I think I might be running Shagrat at Imps upcoming. So I think lots of people are using
day 1, day 2, or just
high points. Both.
He's only Fortitude, so he probably won't. Yeah, he's probably not a leader, is he?
Yeah, I wondered if you'd bring him in day 2 after losing the Witch King.
Have points available.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty standard. Witch King Sully, you're seeing a lot more Shagrat and the Mouth at the moment, thanks to Ash, and the success he's had with them. Any thoughts from anyone? It's fairly standard.
46 is definitely on the higher end for a Shagrat list.
With Shagrat as well. Yeah.
It's because I've demoted some Rannans to more orcs.
Oh yeah, so one thing that Adam left out when he just said with orcs is that he has that priced. Kind of usually you have D6 everywhere, bar the trackers with Moranas and Black Nums, but he's got 2, 4, 6. So he's got 10 regular orcs at D5 and some of those at D4 with only spears as opposed to D6 everywhere. So maybe a bit squishier if the black numbers start to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll be intrigued to see, because if you dropped to 44 models, is that enough points to change all the orcs to?
Yeah, that's what I probably would have done if it.
So the way I see it is an orc warrior spear 6 points and Morannon with spear shield is 9, right? So you can drop just a few to make up those 33% points and just have more orcs. I agree with Ash when he says that you really need the army bonus. Yeah, of course, Morans are better. They're higher strength as well. But ultimately, if you're trapping because you got higher numbers and you got that reroll ones, and +1 courage is just, that's the best part of it. +1 courage is so good. Getting those black numbs up to courage 5 is essentially what you're paying for when you're taking all the defense 3 and defense 4 models.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see if there's a game or two that your black numbers die and those orcs are,
they just melt.
They seem to me like the 8 trackers, they're juicy targets. That just them. Never mind the orcs on top of it.
Yeah.
You're
playing a strength.
The way I see it is, say you come up against loads of elf shooting. Elf shooting is going to shoot the trackers anyway.
Oh yeah, but they can also shoot the orcs on top of that. So
yeah, winning on 5s.
They'll still be going for the trackers though.
Yeah, but say if it's 2 in the ways, so your black num and then your orc to then get into the tracker. As soon as they get through that num, they're needing 5s minimum or maximum. So 5 and then potentially a 4 to go onto the tracker instead of 6, 6, 4.
Yeah, I think it's that if you play say a strength 4 list and the black nums do die, you've then got 13 targets essentially that are being wounded on 4s, and yeah, in some matchups, obviously they're going to be really happy with that, but in others it might not be as big a deal. But
yeah. I think the most important thing is, I don't know if anyone's realised this, but pretty much 2/3 of the list have spears, and the reason, oh no, there's a fraction. The reason is simply because of the scenarios we're playing. So things like hold ground and seize the prize. You are going to be in a situation where you're going to need loads of spears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts from anyone about Adam's Witch King side list, or shall we move on to the tier list?
Adam's podiuming.
Strong. I think it'll be interesting. There's a lot of similar lists, so I'm sure they'll face up against each other. I'm sure Adam will come out the stronger.
Of course.
So you're saying lots of people have copied this?
Yeah. Lots of people have copied you.
From probably copied Ash, even though we came up at the same time. But copied Ash because Ash is successful.
Yeah,
it's a technicality.
Yeah, lots of similarities, but with subtle differences between them. Your subtle difference, I would say, is Shagrat.
Winning.
It's not a big difference, to be fair.
Not so subtle.
He's coming at you like this.
Your freight train difference is Shagrat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because thinking about other tertiary heroes or secondary heroes, depends which ones you think are first and second. I think this sort of list works because obviously you got Witch King and Suladan, who are just buffing monsters. And then if people are going with Gorbag and high numbers, yeah, that's cool. Shadow Lord, if you're really scared of shooting, but with your scenarios, I don't think people should be. Yeah. Be interested to see.
I don't think there's a question. Shagrat is the play. And if you're going Gorbag and getting 54 or so models, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the slightest. I think Shagrat is way, way more value. And
if you went Gorbag, a lot of those extra models would have to be in Suladan's Warband. And that's what I really don't rate about that version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who wants more D4? Not me.
Yeah.
No. Adam's got enough as it is. So moving on, we are gonna head over to the tier list.
Oh my god, this is coming back.
As is standard practice.
Why is Roger there?
So let's move.
Why am I there?
Basically, I don't remake it every time now. Look, it's still called Town from when there was the FAQ. I didn't change it. Should we change it or anything while we're here? No, anything.
I liked it when it was Man United. That was the best week.
Just put it as QPR.
Change it to Leeds United.
QPR, yeah.
My favourite for sure was 100% Hugh Edwards. That was
Yeah, that's good.
that was pretty good.
This podcast has definitely put lemon in my vocabulary, and I've accidentally caught myself saying it when I'm around like non-nerds. And
Yes,
You are not alone.
yeah, and then sometimes they look at me because I don't know if any of you have like studied economics or anything. Lemon is often used to describe something that's quite the opposite to lemon. It's quite QPR, in fact. Like a lemon car is one which is being like priced too high for how crap it is.
I guess you're a bit of a lemon. You're a bit of a you're just a lemon. Yeah.
You're an idiot. Yeah. Now I actually caught myself. I had a lemon slip up the other night while I was at my dad's watching the rugby. I said lemon to him while I was describing something that just happened on the pitch, and obviously this is a 60-year-old man, and I just went, "That was pretty lemon," and he was like, "What does lemon mean?"
I love it.
Not alone,
I absolutely love it.
You're not alone. So shall we begin with Jay's list? Where are we putting it?
QPR.
I don't want to put it in QPR because I need answers first. If it's a sole reason that he just didn't realise, I don't know, it's then QPR. But if it's I don't have the models,
let's
still QPR.
QPR. Where would we put? What if he had taken survivors instead?
Silly nervous.
Silly nervous.
Dog.
I'm
Just
not sure
nervous.
it's silly nervous. I think it might be a nervous list. Because, you get the bus from Bar, but I'm not sure how good it is. Still, even with that, you don't get Braga. You don't get his rule. And we actually put in Jay in QPR. That is the first time Jay has ever made an appearance. Bottom tier.
I just don't understand. I don't understand it, and I can't place it anything else than QPR until there's reasoning.
So Jay has just put in the chat right now. What have I done now? Laughing emoji. Maybe he has no idea what he's done. Someone respond to him now and see if we can get answers during the pod.
Okay, I'll respond. We'll leave it in QPR, and if he responds fast enough,
we
can change.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we won't be changing it really, regardless. So moving on, we have my list, my Emperor one with the captain, 42 models. What do we think?
Silly nervous.
I think it's silly nervous. I don't think it's lemon.
I don't think it's lemon,
not lemon.
For all the reasons people have talked endlessly in podcasts at why the Emperor isn't winning events. That's all the reasons why it's not quite lemon. But I think
lemon.
I think it's been quite well tuned to the event. I think it's really, really powerful as the Emperor is. Therefore, ergo, silly nervous.
It's just we were having it in lemon quite a lot in our Ash, especially as our best list in the game. And
he's a bot though.
But that was like before he won his 300s, wasn't it? A lot of that.
Yeah, I think so. So it looks like
the scenarios are very good for it. That's the thing. Like domination, excellent. Hold ground, excellent. Seas with a captain, excellent.
And breakthrough, I haven't tailored it. Obviously, the captain doesn't really help that much in it, but the fact that you have the Emperor there right in the middle affecting all the objectives is just
it's all the objective scenarios amazing for it. So
I think there's a play with the captain that you put pressure on that back objective with him. In a turn where they expect you to engage, you march, you engage with some of your line, and then you move.
Yeah, round the
You pivot around, block them into a single objective, whereas you get 3.
Yeah, there are things you can do.
Like you could have a bad time when it comes to the other objective, the other scenarios that are out the 2 pods of 6.
Maybe, depending on how they go.
Yeah, but the scenarios that are given, I think it's really good. I mean, I'd still put it in. It's the very, very top of silly nervous, just because it's 800, not 750. But yeah, I think that's why.
Yeah, I think it kind of belongs there. So moving on, we have Sam's Iron Hills Survivors of Lake Town list. What does everyone think?
I really like it.
Where does it fall, though, Adam?
I think Sam's read the meta very well here.
Yeah, Sam definitely created this list. No one else.
Yeah, it wasn't a suggestion to me by anyone. I kind of...
No.
I've been following Sam's Longshanks performances at his last couple of events like a proper fangirl.
Sam,
and
really hard.
And I'm seeing a trajectory. I think GBOOT is going to be the one. So I'm going to say lemon.
Oh
no.
Lemon Curtis.
I'm going to say it's going to be middle of lemon, and it would be bottom of lemon, but the pilot that brings it into the middle.
Ooh, I'd say the opposite.
Gas.
I'll take it.
Pilot.
I disagree. My Longshanks trajectory has not been that. It's been
that. That's why.
Like
it's been up down very much.
Like Wolfslayer, I think I came 6th or 5th or one of those.
That wasn't Longshanks though, so it doesn't count in my fangirling. I was
there. Okay, was it Worcester? Was that the last?
Worcester
and Ripon.
Have it 90.
I have it 90. I guess I won, but that I took Angmar as well. I guess I lost with Angmar and won with the other 3 with good. But Worcester, I think I came 7th or something along the 8th or 9th, somewhere there. And then Ripon, I came 9th. So
yeah, you're flirting with those top positions. You're often one result away from a podium.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So
I'd put it in silly nervous somewhere.
I would also put it in silly nervous. Any other lemon votes?
No.
Just Curtis on this occasion.
Just the sporting guy.
Does it go above or below my Emperor, though?
I very much appreciate that, though, Curtis.
I think it goes above your Emperor, personally.
Really?
My ego's been inflated, mate.
But I'm not a huge fan of the Emperor, so...
I don't think it's above my Emperor. I think in a direct matchup, I think it wins. But I think with the scenarios, I think the Emperor's more consistent. I don't think there's much in it, but I would probably put mine above. But
hey, it's got the banner, it's got the model count, it's got heroes that can really make that model count last. It's got might to dictate the movement phase. I don't know how it's not lemon.
5-5, baby.
Doesn't have a real banner though, does it?
Not a real one, but there's not many VPs for banners in.
Yeah, you got rid of Command and Battlefield, didn't you?
Yeah, shit.
That's not a banner. That's not a banner scenario anyway.
So Curtis, that's actually
right. There you go.
I don't like Command the Battlefield.
Oh, I play it so much, and it never plays out how I think the designers intended it. The designers intended it for it to be like potentially like you're fighting in the 4 quarters. You're not just cooped up in the middle. You're around the edges. Essentially, you fight on the border between 2 of the quarters, while 2 or 3 models go off to the other edges. That's what happens, and it's no different to any other fighty scenario. You're relying on courage tests in those other quarters. Yeah, and by being Maelstrom as well, it just adds to the
the shittery
of all of that. Yeah, the only time I've ever won Command the Battlefield is when I was dwarves. And I did so badly in my Maelstrom rolls, my opponent put all my warbands in all the corners, and it took so long to get to the fight. They were in the other quarters that when I broke or whenever the game ended, I had like 3 of the quarters. My opponent did it for me. Only time I've ever
That is
won.
a high skill victory.
Yeah.
So I felt that we've actually got to the root cause of why you actually don't like Command the Battlefield, and that's because you've only won it one time.
Yeah, I play it. It seems to pop up an awful lot, but yeah, no, it's one of those that sounds like a good idea, but it never is.
Yeah. Okay, so where are we putting it? Are we putting it above mine then? It seems like the consensus is that it's going above mine. Does everyone agree? Adam, we haven't heard your 2 cents.
I think in a direct matchup, it's better than Dragon Emperor, but in general, I still think Dragon Emperor is better.
That's 2 votes for mine being above. So, and James and Kurt both have it as being better.
So I would, if the banner affected the heroes, i.e. Gloin, Dory, Nori, and Bard, because it doesn't affect Bard, I would put it above. Because it doesn't, I would put it below, because you can whiff. I've had too many times where you do just whiff, and it does feel shit.
You're talking about those situations where literally the hero rolls like a 3 high.
Yes.
Because you can't ban all of those into a 5 and then use might, you literally...
You either spend 3 might or you lose the fight. And
it could be a time like where your opponent only rolls a 5 high.
Yeah.
It's like,
it feels awful. And if you have it can happen to maybe 2 heroes in one turn, or 1 hero one turn, 1 the next. And in matchups where you need to be killing, say it's Black Numenorians, you need to be killing the nuns to win the game. Otherwise, you have no real shot. And if you can't do that because you don't have the banner effect on your hero, it's really hard to come. Like, you need to kind of snowball at the start. It's hard to come back from. So I would put it below because of that.
Yeah. Well, the people have spoken, and we put my Emperor above. Moving on, we have Vincent's Isengard list.
It's nervous.
It's nervous.
At mid.
Prove me wrong.
I can't prove you wrong.
Good.
It is nervous.
No, it's totally nervous. You're right, Adam.
Yeah. Like we said, I think it's better than some others that he's taken, but I still don't think Isengard, even though it's arguably the most optimal way that you can run it, I still don't think it breaks into silly nervous in the current landscape of the game.
I want Vince to do well. I really wanted his list at Wolf's Lair to do really, really well, and it really hurt me.
What, the Frida one?
Yeah, it hurt me when I just, he came up against me, because obviously if he's come up against me, he's struggling and he's on the lower tables, and I was like, and then I really wanted
the
to
lower
do well.
tables.
I like these Maverick lists that he's writing. I like that he's thinking outside the box, and it's not cookie cutter at all.
I think he's thinking too outside the box.
Yeah, that's his problem. He's in his own head now.
Yeah.
Frida talk space.
You can't have Frida as your leader. That can't run.
It rhymes. You can.
No. Frida the leader. Poo poo.
Frida the leader.
So it's a nervous list. Okay, it seems like we're all in agreement on that one. Adam's Witch King Sully. Shagrat. What do we think?
Silly nervous.
Is it lemon?
I think it is pushing the borders.
I think personally, I really like the Mordor army bonus. It's very important to get. Completely agree with you on the points you made. I would put it in lemon if you had pure Morannons.
If you had Ash's build, lemon. That's what Elliot's saying, essentially.
That's what I think. I'm not a big fan of the squishiness that you've got, but it could totally be fine, but it could also be an issue potentially. So I'd probably say silly nervous for that reason.
I'm happy to put it in lemon just for the fact nothing's in there, and
not a bad argument.
It's also
a bad argument.
It is.
No, but it is very, very good, and I wouldn't be surprised if a Mordor Saladin list won the event. I really wouldn't, and Adam's used it tremendous amount of times. So
I do want, because I really want a London player to win the event, and I count Adam in that. So please, Adam.
What about me? I live just outside the M20.
Thanks, Curtis. I qualify as a Norwich player, a Gollum's Gamers player, Barcelona player, London player. Love it.
Yeah,
there's fingers in all the pies.
Elliot, to be fair, I can count you there because you were LWG like quite early on. You're in the chat.
I'm in the chat. I was at the Borodor previous year, the LGT. That you guys were also at though, Sam and
I was at LGT. I'm a London player then.
Elliot was in the chat like early doors. A while ago.
Was basically London.
Yeah,
basically London.
Basically.
It's basically.
But I count Curtis. I like that. Okay. So Sam and James and Curtis. So Sam said lemon. Curtis and James. What do you think?
I think
more.
So Kurt goes silly nervous. James?
Lemon.
Lemon. So Adam, you are the deciding. It's twice we've had that. Fucking hell, that was so loud.
I thought, oh my God, that scared the fuck out of me.
Oh, I thought we'd been hacked by some random man.
All of us stopped listening.
Somewhat louder than I thought.
Shit myself.
When you played against it, did you beat it when Vince piloted it?
So when Vince piloted it and we played Breakthrough, and I deployed back to try and just gas Suladan, which worked, but he just sent Lord Shagrat straight in and just caused all sorts of havoc. And being Breakthrough, you just can't do that. You can't start on the back foot. My thoughts were, let's just gas Suladan before combat hits. He did win like every fight, even though it was 2 dice on 3, and killed pretty much every round. But he played Shagrat in such a way, I just thought, yeah, Shagrat is just so good, because even when I sent Gorulf and Lurtz in, trapped him, struck, like, yeah, he managed to immobilize Lurtz with the double transfix, but Gorulf was still having a go, and he was trapped with loads of Uruks. Still couldn't kill him.
He can roll the same amount of dice, can't he? Because he can shield, and then he's D7.
Yeah. So Vince shielded. It just made me realize in these scenarios, it is, if you're starting on halfway line with the Witch King, I think it's pretty good, because I know I've got a bit of shooting, but ultimately the Witch King's on a timer, so you want the game to be in their face ASAP. Because the Witch King can't continue for 2 hours 15 if he's having to cast from distance. So, yeah, I think the scenarios are good for the list. I think it might be Lemon, but I don't know. I don't.
Well, Adam,
don't count my chickens.
Stop being humble, you knob.
Yeah, your vote is the deciding one, and you said Lemon, so looks like it's going in.
Adam.
Sirens.
Adam's listening. And then James can join Jay and
yes,
and so can Ash, because he bailed on the pod. So actually, James should go in Lemon for filling his place at short notice.
Ooh,
that's what I'm saying.
We should put.
That's where I've always belonged.
We should put Jay in Dog, just because
Dog. So Ash is at the bottom. I was just going to say the same thing. Yes.
It's not as bad as well.
This looks way better. I'm happy with
it.
So we haven't heard back from Jay about why he took Army of Lake Town as opposed to Survivors. So for that reason, we've bumped him up to Dog. I think that's okay.
Give him the benefit of the doubt.
He'll be happy with that.
He's got a high model count, lots of
He'll be happy with that. No, he won't. Man's 4th in the league. You think he'd be happy with Dog?
He's happier than QPR, you know.
I guess, yeah.
I feel a bit better. So that is going to do it. That's the end of the tier list. And we've looked at all the lists and the stats and everything. So if you're listening and you're going to the event, you should have a better idea of kind of what to expect this weekend. But Curtis, thank you very much for coming on. Any closing comments from Tio himself?
No, just really, really looking forward to it. Big highlight of my year. It's become it's sort of like most competitive event, certainly in London's calendar. So
we always try and make a big weekend of it as well. That's good for anyone who's there for hobby reasons or competitive reasons. Hopefully there's something for everyone to get out of it. There are a couple of last minute drops. So if anyone listening to this and is is local or interested in coming down, just give us a shout. We might be able to hook you up with a place. But yeah, really looking forward to it. And thanks, guys, for having me on and to talk about it. No worries.
Real pleasure.
Thank you for coming on. So that's going to do it. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.
Goodbye.
That was brilliant.
I so might leave that in there.